What's going on, everybody? Thank you for clicking on to another episode of It Gets Better's Better. Today's guest is Arienette Wolf. She's a YouTuber. And today, we're just going to start off with an easy conversation about drugs and depression. So,
Starting at light.
yeah, right? So, I guess, what. So, when did it start? We're going to do this therapy style.
The depression or the drugs?
Let's start with whichever came first.
Well, I think the depression probably.
And then you use like the drugs as a coping mechanism.
Totally.
So
Um, yeah, just all of that like early childhood shit that doesn't make sense until you're an adult.
right.
It was that kind of stuff. And then you like really easily fall into drug use when you've had those sort of experiences.
So I mean, hell yes, I can empathize because like me personally, I started doing drugs when I was like 14
Oh, that's
ish.
so young. I
Ah
was a lot
man.
older.
What age was it for you?
Probably around like 24, 23, maybe.
What? So
Yeah,
so
late.
so I guess the first thing is, I mean, what was troubling you? What was your depression about?
I think it had a lot to do with my family and being really socially isolated. That was a huge part for me. I was raised Mormon,
Oof.
and I was raised by this like single mother with her own very like undiagnosed issues. So they kind of spilt over onto me. And she had this thing where she would like move us around and kind of isolate me from the rest of the family or my own friends. And yeah, it kind of takes you to this dark place. And luckily, I was able to like realize what was going on because I studied psychology
Yeah.
at university. So that kind of, I think that helped me a lot where other people kind of don't have that insight into their brains. So like they kind of get stuck into that drug cycle. But I luckily got out of it. So that's good.
So I guess one of the things that I'm curious about is, do you think your mom being the way she was helped you develop an intuition about people, or were you kind of like too depressed and or on drugs that you were really just kind of dealing with your own stuff?
Well, when I was on drugs, I wasn't living with her at all. That was when I
Oh.
moved away from her. Because she had kind of like I don't know how to describe it.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Fair enough. So
I
I
think I did develop my intuition because of her, though. I think I'm actually quite good at reading body language and things like that because when I was little, I had to read her body language to make sure she wasn't in a mood or something.
so for our listeners that are probably in like a shitty house situation, what are some of the things you like keyed in on besides body language to like know what your environment was like?
I didn't realize how bad it had been until I started studying psychology at university, and I think I was studying about personality disorders. And I realized that there were so many I was like displaying a lot of the symptoms myself, and so was my mother. And I thought that was a bit interesting. And then I started to look into it with people I knew to like ask them questions about how they were raised and see if they had similar stories that I did. And I realized I had a lot of experiences that not many other people had.
So did that do anything for you knowing that there were other people going through this like a similar kind of thing?
It took me a long time to find other people that had experienced similar things. At the time when I first realized that this was a problem, I didn't find any of those people.
So I guess so that was basically throughout like school, right? So you had the whole rigmarole of like growing up and becoming a woman with a like shady mom. How did
Mm.
you get out of that situation?
Um, After I studied psychology and realized what was happening, I knew I had to get away from her
Right.
because she's very narcissistic. And if you have a narcissist in your life who's decided to kind of like mold you to be their narcissistic supply all the time, like you can't think straight until you're away from them. Like when you're around them, they do all this stuff that makes you act crazy,
Right.
and it's so messed up. It's a lot. So I had to get away from her. I had to like figure out how to move myself away. And I luckily met my now fiance through some mutual friends, and I ended up moving in with him pretty fast, which was probably not the best idea, but he's a really great guy, so it worked out okay for me.
So he finally proposed. I remember you
He
tweeting
did
about
on
that last
Christmas.
year. Oh,
Yeah.
snap. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Um, so then, do you think being exposed to your mom's narcissism had any effect on your interests now? Because, like, it looks like your YouTube channel is you focused on fashion. So I'm wondering, like, how your mom's behavior, like, what kind of lasting impact it's had on you. Do you still think about it? Are there things that, like, you might be doing something with your fiance and, like, he'll do something that your mom used to do and that, like, sets you off? Like, is there any lasting impact?
Oh, completely.
Oh,
It's almost like every aspect of life, she just like appears somewhere. And it's not the worst thing. Everyone has their thing that they have to deal with, and this is mine, so it's okay. But a lot of the times with my fiance, it'll come up where we're having an argument or something, and I'll just realize that I sound exactly like her.
yeah.
That's like the worst thing. I'm sure everyone experiences that though. So,
Oh,
but
yeah.
yeah, I just every time I every time she like comes back and is affecting my life today, I just have to pay attention to it, and it's kind of annoying to always be on guard like that, but
Yeah.
it's worth it. It's definitely worth it.
How so?
It
Like,
makes me into a better person.
like,
If I'm like paying attention to how she's affecting me. I wish I could think of an example.
well, so it sounds like she's still in your life, but just in a guarded or limited capacity.
No, I don't speak to her anymore.
And okay, so
Yeah.
that, let's focus on that for a second. So, what led you to just saying, like, hey, it's really not worth it?
I'm not sure. I tried for a long time to sort of maintain a relationship with her. And I joined a lot of subreddits, like Raised by Narcissists is probably the best one. That's such a good resource.
Yeah.
Uh, and a lot of people on there go through similar issues with their narcissistic parents, where you just desperately want the relationship to work. But at some point, you realize it's pointless. It's never going to be right. So the best thing you can do for yourself is to just cut ties.
And did that have a, like, short or near term effect on you when you were, cuz, like, me kind of going out there and looking at the, like, depression scene on Twitter, or, like, different communities that are supposed to be about self-help, there's never, no one's ever saying, like, yo, so you're gonna do this and shit's gonna be so much better, like, oh, fuck that bitch, leave that shit in 2018. But, like, no one's ever saying, hey, so by the way, when you cut this really important person out of your life, it's gonna hurt like hell. So, like,
Yeah.
so, I mean, was that your experience with it?
Uh,
Or were you more just, like, stoked that she was gone and now it's time to, like, do your life your way?
it was definitely bittersweet. I think it hurt more before I decided to cut her out. Like it did hurt a little bit once I cut her out because you kind of go through this period of mourning. It's
Yeah.
like you're losing a loved one. It's like they've died essentially. So there was that. But the pain that I felt trying to maintain my relationship with her was so much worse.
Did
So I
your,
feel like it's just like it's hard to jump over that, like cross that bridge, I guess.
oh, yeah. No, yeah, trust me, I know. I mean, my father was shitty in a different way. And,
Mm,
like kind of to your point, for a while there, I tried to, like, make something happen, but it just wasn't meant to be. So I was
hmm
kind of like, oh, damn, I'm never going to have a dad.
Yeah, that's what I went through. I still go through that sometimes. It's this like intense jealousy I'll feel when I see people with their parents, or when my friends talk about their relationships with their mothers. I can't relate. And it's upsetting, but there were probably worse things.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So have you done anything to, like, cope. So like I'm lucky. I'm a guy, and like for some reason dudes are like all the fuck about like having groups and mentors and all that shit. So like for me, I just like joined a couple meet me groups and ended up meeting some like level-headed people that eventually became my mentors.
That is so
Um
cool.
I mean,
I wish that there was something like that where I lived. Oh, I would love that.
well, so just saying, Meet Me is an app. I'm not sure if it's in Canada, but I will just say it's totally worth checking out because you can it's like walking into a situation where you know you're going to win because like sure they're strangers, but like you're all meeting up around a central point like biking or Dungeons and Dragons or whatever. So
I
like
totally used one once, actually, when I went to California when I was like in my early 20s.
yeah.
And like I met up with some Disneyland like annual pass holders to go to the park with. It was so cool.
So it sounds like there okay, well, it sounds like there are ways to nailed it. Get around it and be a whole human being. Does that seem right, or do you think what happened to you like left you eternally fucked?
I don't know if fucked is the right word. I think it left me eternally changed, but I don't think it's a bad thing. And I think everyone has something that changes them forever. And I don't think it's good or bad. It's just a thing.
Fair enough. Okay. Well, hmm. So we covered that. Boom. Awesome. So depression and stuff, right? What how did that turn into drugs?
Hmm. I've never actually thought about like why I started taking them. I think I started taking them because I wanted to go to these parties, these raves and stuff, and I was doing photos at them at the time.
Yeah.
So like everyone that was around me, everyone that I met was really, really into drugs. So I kind of naturally fell into it. I was already like really into weed, still am. I still smoke a lot of weed. But and I didn't really drink very properly at the time either. I was terrible, terrible at binge drinking. Like I never realized that you're supposed to pace your drinks when you go out. I was just like, "Oh yeah, it's a race. Like drink as many as I can." So I would get really drunk. I was at a rave surrounded by lots of people, and I just wanted to be more social and connect with them. So I would take drugs, which very quickly turned into a problem because it's hard to stop taking them.
So was it so you said weed obviously, and totally you don't have to say like which ones, or you can, but like did it ever get into harder drugs?
Definitely. Well, my thing was Coke. I was super into Coke. I did it basically like Thursday to Sunday. Like I would do cocaine and I spent so much money on it and it was just ridiculous and the quality is terrible. And I dabbled in some other things. I used to do a lot of MDMA and like that's something that, I'll probably still do it once a year, but it's just not the same priority. Again, I used to do MDMA like 3 times a week, every single week, which is really bad for your brain.
So what's wow, damn. I'll do this thing that's really horrible for my brain like once a year. No big deal. Um okay, so bet weed, hard drugs. It sounds like you kind of just like casually slid into it by virtue of your environment, but
Yeah.
I wonder like what you can say to people or what you would say to people who think that drugs are like an all or nothing thing. Because a lot of this, like a lot of these self-help communities I see, like NoFap, for example, the vibe there is just basically you're going to quit like beating your dick and be an amazing person. You're never going to do it again. Otherwise you suck. And then
Oh, these
kind of
like
like,
abstinence only kind of communities.
yeah, and I mean not even only just those, but it's like people have this idea that if you're going to change yourself, you have to make these like polar changes where
Uh,
just shit has to be left in the dark, right? So
oh, I
like
think they're setting themselves up for failure.
so then how did you discover, cuz like I'm kind of in your boat in that a little bit every now and then is not the worst thing. Like
Mm-hmm.
how did you come up with the strength to not only stop but then moderate your habits? And well, I had okay, I don't mean habits, your indulgences. Because I mean, really, that's what it is at that point. You're not like going out and spending a shit ton of money on it every week.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it was about defining what a problem was and what a problem wasn't. And for me, like, I will never do cocaine again. I've decided that's the one thing that I can't do because it makes me very, very sick. And it's not good for my head, so that one I have to completely abstain from. It's too expensive. There's lots of reasons. But with the other ones, like MDMA, sometimes I'll do some like mushrooms or some acid, maybe. That would be fun. But with the MDMA, because that was a problem, I think I had to think about why I wanted to take it. And I
yeah,
think the reasoning was always that I wanted to connect with people. But then I realized I would just have these stupid conversations with them that I would never remember. Nobody would ever remember the damn conversation. So we weren't really connecting. I mean, we were like all laying together on a couch, sweating on each other, if you can call that connecting. But it was like
that's
really
hot.
artificial and fake. It was
Yeah.
kind of gross.
So, okay. So basically, it sounds like learn to identify the problem so you can
Yeah.
make changes. Was so first of all, I imagine your now fiance was still in the picture at this point, right?
Yeah, he does not like parties or drugs. He doesn't do any of that. He's got like a regular job and stuff. He likes to watch Star Trek.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
Sounds like you're marrying the right guy.
I got a good one.
Um, okay, so like how did this affect y'all and what y'all were trying to do, I guess, emotionally as a couple?
It totally like put a hold on everything, really. Because when we started dating, I wasn't into any of this stuff. It was when I moved in with him into the city, and he actually started working out of town, which
Yeah.
is when I met all of these crazy rave people and started doing photos for them, which became I was getting money for it. It was giving me not just money, it was giving me like livelihood and like reason to leave the house and stuff. And then I fell into the drugs really slowly. So I don't think we realized that it was a problem for a while.
So, how did that work that he was out of town? He I mean, I'm not sure of the circumstances, but like he finds out about your drug use, like,
Well, I never tried to hide anything from him. I told him everything. I was like, I'm going to go to a rave tonight and I might do this for the first time. And then I would tell him like what I was going to do. I never was deceptive.
which awesome for you because in my experience, a lot of the people I used to do drugs with were not as morally high, superior, whatever I'm trying to say. They weren't like that. They were like
Yeah,
really
there's a lot of
deceptive.
dishonesty in those communities.
Yes. So, did that make it better for him or was he still like upset that you were doing it?
He was still upset, but I do think it was better than, being dishonest and then having him find
Oh,
out. I
without
think
a
that would have
doubt.
made him way more upset. But
So, did he play any kind of role in you stopping drugs?
actually, no, that was all me.
So, how did you
I'm
do it?
pretty proud of it. I got really sick. I have like issues with eating. I fall into like anorexia pretty badly. So when I was doing a lot of coke, I was also getting sicker and sicker with the anorexia. And oh God, it's so weird to talk about. I was like kind of like asleep for like a whole week. I was like in and out of sleep and I had these crazy lucid dreams. And I think I'll probably get into the dreams in like a long ass YouTube video one day because like they're so weird and like bizarre.
Yeah.
But by the end of it, I had this like kind of understanding that I needed to stop doing everything I was doing. I don't want to call it a spiritual experience because I think that sounds really lame, but it was essentially that.
So, I mean, I know that's the high level of it, but like, what was the experience of it? Like, for people who have never done drugs or tried to like get themselves clean off of it, like, what was your
Whew.
experience?
It's bad. It's gross. Like I think that's the best way to describe quitting drugs is that it's gross. Like you're you kind of like I don't know if it's the same for everyone, but I started to remember everything that had happened over the past couple of years that I had been sort of swept up and lost. And the reality of everything started to hit me a little bit more. It was, yeah, it's like when you're doing drugs, you're just kind of like covering up a lot of messes that you're making. And then when you quit, you have to uncover them all. And physically, it's painful. It's not good.
So, I mean, my experience. Okay, so by messes, let me share my experience and tell you, and you tell me if this seems right. So, like, you're talking about experiences, and my whole thing is I had, so like, I wasn't going with a good group of people, and
Mhm.
as I started like pulling out of that life, it started going from people like gently, but not really gently ribbing me about how like little I was starting to do, but then it became like more of a confrontational, like, you're not doing this, this, and this anymore. Like, what the fuck, bro? Are you still down? And
Mm.
so, like, I had to confront the social side of that where I'm just kind of like, okay, how the fuck do I tell these people that I'm not about this life anymore and get the fuck out of it? And then, like, so like dealing with those people situations, but then also the physical side of it, like, I imagine you probably had stuff like sweats, throwing up. You probably, I mean, for me, like, I sweat like I sweat puddles. It was that bad. And like,
Same. It was disgusting.
yes. And
So
then
much sweat.
for you, were showers like the most tedious fucking thing ever?
I hated showering.
Oh
I
my.
sometimes I just wouldn't. I couldn't get off the couch. Like I had a little couch bed. I still kind of sleep in it sometimes when I'm like falling asleep watching movies, but like I lived on my couch for months.
Does that
And with the
ever,
social stuff, I think I handled it in the worst way.
what did you do?
Oh God. Um,
Oh shit.
the final straw was like there was this music festival and I had applied to go as a photographer
Yeah.
because I was all about photography, about event photography, and this festival was over my birthday. And my friends and I, my ex-friends and I, we all planned to go together and it was pretty far from where
Yeah.
we are. It was like the next province over. And we went there. I'm still so angry about this. I decided I was going to do it sober because I wanted to take it so seriously. I wanted to get the best possible pictures for the festival and
Yeah.
maybe get invited back. And so there was me and like, I don't know, seven fucking people from Saskatoon where I live. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say that. I don't know. No, it's on my YouTube channel. Anyway, so the entire festival, this is like a beautiful festival. It's an amazing production. They have like, I don't know, four stages going all the time, amazing decorations, everything's just they have people on stilts walking around being entertaining. Like so all of the people I came with, they spent the entire festival sitting in the tents doing drugs. And I thought that
Oh.
that was so lame. And I was so mad at them that when we got back, like we had this group, this Facebook group,
Yeah.
and I just wrote up a big angry post in it. And I was like, basically, fuck all of you guys. You want to sit in tents and do drugs. I'm not about this anymore. Fuck y'all. And I left. And a bunch of them unfriended me on Facebook. And yeah, I don't think I handled it very well.
Well, okay. So like, at least from my perspective, if I was looking at that situation, I really don't think I would be faulting you giving the factors at play here. But
Mm.
like, I also wonder, did you have feelings from that? Like, did it hurt when people unfriended you, or did you kind of like know did you have like the sense of self or the situational awareness to know like, yo, these people are only here for me for the drugs, and that's our tie, and when that goes away, these people do too?
No, I had that realization at the festival. So by the time they unfriended me, I was happy. I was good with it. It sure felt good to kind
Dump
of
toxic people.
oh, it feels so good to like weed that friend garden, get rid of all of the parasites and stuff.
So what was it like? And so this was like basically when you made the decision to quit, but before you actually quit, right?
It was like the same time. Like I had, because I decided to be sober at that festival, but I was still, I had quit cocaine.
Right.
And when I quit cocaine, I still went to parties. And like I decided I wanted to be in the most difficult environment to stay sober to see if I could really do it. Because I'm a bit of a cunt like that. I like to throw myself in the deep end and see if I fail.
Yeah.
Sometimes I fail, but like this time, luckily I didn't, which was really good.
So, first, do you think that failing wipes out your previous progress, or is failure just a bump in the road?
I don't think it wipes anything out. I think it's about how you deal with it afterwards.
And then what? So, okay, so here you are, fresh off the festival scene, and you've ditched all these crazy people, and you've decided that you want to like get your shit together. So like what was that first month of like not doing drugs anymore and using that as your avenue to meeting people, but then also like living without like your previous network of like friends and support, so to speak?
I still haven't really replaced that friend network. I mean, I have the band and they're kind of like a weird like family sort of feel. Like it's closer than friends. So uh but yeah, that first month was just very boring, honestly. I played a lot of video games to try to get my mind off doing drugs.
Could you
And
even, well, I was
I
gonna
watched a
say,
lot of live streams.
oh god, dude, YouTube was instrumental, but I was gonna say, like, how long did it even take you to get your mind back? Because for me, like, I guess my whole process was just like sitting there with it and waiting
Mm.
for it. Because like I remember I couldn't focus on shit. I didn't want to go anywhere. I didn't want to move, so I just had like noise on, like YouTube videos or whatever in the background. So like,
Mhm.
how long did it take you to start getting your like senses back?
I don't know if they are back entirely, honestly.
Ooh.
I couldn't even hold a conversation for like 3 months after I quit Coke because Coke was so bad because I was doing that so much. And like, I felt like a baby. I felt like a newborn baby. Like I was having trouble walking up the freaking stairs. Like I was like a little old granny or something. I would say like 3 months, I think, was when I started to really notice a change, though.
Did your boyfriend at the time notice it?
I think now he has, but because everything's so gradual,
Yeah.
when it's happening, it's hard to realize. But I was talking to him the other day because I just did like a yearly highlight video, and I had to go through all of my YouTube videos. And I was talking to him, I was like kind of in shock at how different I was at the start of last year versus the end of it. And I was, oh, there's so many crazy things happened last year.
Yeah. So, okay. So 3 months passes. You're able to start having conversations. How do you get back out into the world? What did you do?
I didn't, honestly. I went more online. I started to kind of fall into these live stream communities a little bit and focus more on the internet. And then once the band approached me, which was probably, I'm not so good with my timeline. This was all like a little while ago.
Right.
The band probably approached me 6 months to a year after I got sober. And I think that was when I started to go out and be more social. And that kind of happened the start of last year.
So, is it just because, okay, so I mean, what's the story of them approaching you? Like, where were you at in your life?
I met them when I was doing photos because I wanted to. I quit event photography after that festival, by the way, with all of my shitty friends.
Yeah.
That was enough for me. I was like, I can't be around this environment. So I quit doing photos. But before I quit, I had actually taken their photos when they first got together because they had been a band for like 2 years before I joined. So they knew me and they contacted me because they needed a pianist for tour. And they remembered that I had played piano for them when they came over to take pictures one day. And I played Moonlight Sonata. And I remember because Josh made fun of me for it. He was like, oh, yeah, everybody plays that song. So I thought they didn't really like me. So I was really surprised when they asked me to go on tour with them. It was pretty cool.
So, would you say that joining this band was like your first like contact with fresh people? because you said you basically, like, if I'm understanding this right, the series of events for you is basically just like ditching the shitty people, like getting yourself straight while kind of simultaneously investing more in like online communities, right? So like
Exactly.
what
And
so
at that time, I was learning video editing and all of that too. So I was isolating myself, but also educating myself, which was pretty important.
what do you edit with, just out of curiosity?
Premiere Pro.
God, you fucking hippie.
I love
Okay.
Adobe.
um so okay, so this group of people approaches you and they're like, dude,
Mhm.
you need to play piano for us, that'd be the shit. So you join this band. Did you have any kind of like anxiety or like a lack of self-confidence in yourself
Oh my
because of
God, so
everything?
much.
Why?
I
Okay,
was
tell me
I
about
was
it.
I don't know like how to describe what I was at that time. I feel like a turtle in a shell. Like I was like the weirdest little lump resembling a person. But oh, frick, it's so weird to think about. I just feel so different like now than I was like when I joined them. I was like I would just apologize for everything. I was like scared of everything. I was
Right.
scared to cross the road. I'm still a little bit scared to cross the road sometimes because people drive like crazy people here, but yeah, I don't know. I think going on tour made me strong.
So, okay, so for me, I guess what I've witnessed as being like a person on the outside is that it feels like in 2018 you kind of went from like wanting the identity of someone who was in a band to being in a band is an accessory of your personality, and now it seems like you're more about the creativity and expression side of things.
Hmm.
So I mean, do you think that's accurate? And if it is, like, how did that come about happening?
It might be accurate. I don't know what you mean by the first part though.
So, like, I remember there being drama about your band playing without you, and that upset you. And then,
I
like,
remember that.
um,
That
you,
was drama with just me and another band member. I
Josh.
think I might be a bit of a dramatic person. It kind of follows me.
Well, I mean, I guess what I'm saying is like I feel like after that happened, you kind of like felt your feelings about that, and then instead of like moping in that, you're like, okay, bet, well then I'm just gonna like focus on getting better at piano. And then
Mhm.
you did I mean, you put out covers, if I recall right.
Yeah, just recently I started to do it.
And even that, you have a uh like you have a review on your first
Hello.
keyboard.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, so like, was that something spontaneous or something that you just started like building up to through your band?
Um, I think joining the band, because I played music since I was like 9. I
Right.
started piano lessons when I was a little kid, so I've done them for like 20 years or something. And I never thought that I could actually write music. I never thought I could learn to play by ear. And being in this band, Josh especially, because he writes a lot of the music, he'll kind of like push us into learning new skills that are outside of our comfort range. And he kind of taught me that I can write music and learn to play by ear and all of this stuff. So I decided to focus a lot more on music. And I decided to test the water actually by posting that first keyboard review video to see if it would get views. And it's like my most popular video at the moment. So I
Yeah.
guess I think I took that as a sign. I was like, I should probably focus on that a little bit more.
Five, almost 6,000 views in four
Is it
months.
almost at 6?
It's at 5.9 right now.
Jesus, last time I checked, it was at like 4.
Yeah, and like your next most popular is cute winter skirts and shoes. Dude,
Kawaii.
okay, bet. So, okay. Are you going to try and stick around in this band, or are you going to try and forge something solo for yourself, or do both?
Both.
Both.
I
Okay.
I have to stick with them because I just feel like I owe them everything. Like we have issues. Like we keep fighting. We'll fight a lot. And then it always comes back. We're always like good again. We always talk about it. It's I think all of us are actually doing really well at like understanding that we have to actually like sit down and communicate with each other like we're a married couple or something. It's so bizarre to like be forced to live together in a van for like weeks and then not see each other for like a month, and it's just a weird kind of relationship scenario I never thought I'd be in.
So, I mean, what's an example of that? Because I know, I feel like there's been two tours since I became aware of you, and like one,
Mhm.
I swear to God, like maybe I'm tripping, but like one was you like pre-band doing like photography type stuff, and then another one I definitely know. I think the first time we started talking was the second instance where you were going on tour and you wanted to talk after. Like,
Mhm.
so it sounds like
Um,
no, what's up?
the second tour was smaller. We were gonna have like a much longer tour,
Yeah.
but it ended up being super short, and that one happened recently.
So like what's that living situation like?
Oh my God. I love our van. Our van is amazing. She's bigger on the inside. She's a good girl. We got her some new winter
Oh.
tires this year. But when you have to share your living space with people you hardly know, like going on tour in summer was so crazy because I didn't know these people like at all. Like we had been to practice every week for like I don't know, how long, like 3 months or 2 months or something before tour. But I
Right.
didn't really know them very well until we were like living together in a fucking van driving through Canada. And like, oh my God, you learn way too much about each other. That's like, it's good. By the end of it, you feel like, I don't know if you ever went on like summer camp when you were a kid.
Oh, I did. Yes, ma'am.
Like, you know how you make those like incredible like friendships at summer camp? And oh my God, it was just like that. By the end of it, it was so sad to leave. Like, we were all like super sad to split up, but it was kind of nice to get back to like regular showers.
Yes. I went camping for like a week and a half at Rocky Mountain National Park with my girlfriend at
Oh,
the
that's
time.
long.
Dude, okay, well, first of all, like we just kind of thought, "Oh yeah, we'll like camp and we'll just like do our thing and we'll come into town every now and then for a shower." And then we ended up realizing that that was not an effective strategy and ended up buying a solar shower, and it was the
Oh my God,
weirdest.
those are shit.
They really fucking are. Like the
I
water
tried to
was
use one.
it was lukewarm at best, right?
Yeah.
Oh
Ours
god.
didn't even heat up at all. Like we had it in the shade because we're idiots. We were all so drunk, but whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Uh so okay, so do you have a new tour or next tour posted? Like what are you doing with your band right now?
Ooh, it's not posted yet, but we did just start booking it.
Nice. Bigger or smaller or same size as the last one?
Bigger. It's
Bigger.
gonna be a month this time because I think last time it was only 2 weeks. And that's the one that I have the videos up from. And then there's like the mini tour, which we kind of call like the weekend getaway because we're losers. And like we
Yeah.
don't have any videos from that because that was kind of hectic actually. Oh my
And
goodness.
and are you like the principal videographer for all this?
Oh no. I just record stuff. We have like a couple of videographers that we know that we've been in contact with to do a music video for us because we have one video up already, but it was like this sort of it's hard to explain. It was like this collaboration between a recording guy and a video guy in like where we live, and they decided to get together and do these like kind of cheaper music videos for local bands, and it was okay, but I mean, I think we could do a lot better if we actually paid someone real money for it.
Yeah, fair enough. Because I know I've seen some people's, like, I mean, okay, so we had this thing called Plano Center when I was younger, and it was basically this event center in my city with, like, the up and coming bands. Like, maybe you've heard of The Devil Wears Prada.
Kind of,
Kind
actually.
of. Okay, so like this is where they went. Like this is how they got their start, and they would play to
Mm.
like this event center of like 600 kids or something, right? So you had like Under Oath, Devil Wears Prada, Family Force 5, which I know you haven't heard of cuz no one has and they suck. No.
I've heard of Under Oath though.
Okay. So I forget. So it was one of like those level bands at the time, and I remember they made the most horrible music video, but they played like their thing was they projected it onto a screen behind them while they played the song. So it was like a video only version, and they were like it was really awkward because it was like footage of them spliced in with like stock footage that they clearly bought and has nothing to do with them. It was
Like a
so
commercial?
pretty free. Yes, it was like all these beautiful people striking like overly dramatic poses because you know you're a
Wow.
teenager, so everything's just like shit, and you're just like so deep in your feelings. Um,
I miss
yeah.
being an emo teenager.
So I guess what's this deal with the music video? You said you are going to shoot one.
Well, we're planning on it. We've been talking to a bunch of different videographers. We're just trying to find the right fit. We really need to get more stuff like out on the internet
Yeah. Give
because
me
I
one
think
second,
right
okay?
now we only have like one song on Spotify.
One second. Hold on. Okay, so what are y'all doing for distribution? I'm guessing something like TuneCore.
I have no idea.
Oh, bet. Okay, fair enough. I mean, okay, let me ask you this then. How far are you along with your solo stuff?
Oh, I wrote my first song,
And
but
that's on your YouTube
I
channel, right?
no, not yet. There's like little parts of it. Like I have in some vlogs and stuff because I wrote it over Vlogmas. So I have like you can basically hear the entire song, but I realized I can't fucking sing it. Like I wrote it in a register that's way too high for me to comfortably sing, so I'm going to transcribe it lower and hopefully get it out. But if I transcribe it and I don't like it, I'm just going to put it away for a little while and try to make some other stuff. But I've been studying like theory for the past 3 months, and now I'm at a point where I could like write a song in an hour. It won't be very good, but I could do it. So I think that's good progress.
So is there like okay, so there's a sample on your blog or god, wow. This is why I needed more coffee than I got. Um I mean, there's samples of your creative work, I guess, outside of fashion on your YouTube channel if people want to check that out, right?
I've done a little bit of music. It's kind of hidden. I like to hide things.
Why though?
I don't know.
Okay, I see
Like a
how it is.
raven.
A raven. I've never heard that before.
Well, don't they like if you give them like shiny things, they just take them and hide them?
I've only heard that ravens are like the asshole of birds, and you can just piss them off and they'll never forget. Same with crows, but I've
I
never
love
heard.
that.
Dude, actually, so do I, because it's kind. I mean, not trying to shit on them. I hope they're not listening right now. But like, they have really small brains, and the fact that they can look at you and know you forever and be like, "You're that person that fucked with me that one time."
It's like
Amazing.
a whole new level of petty. I love them. It's
Okay,
actually
so
my goal to befriend like a flock of crows. Like there's one that hangs around my house and I want to be his friend and I don't know how.
got seeds.
Well, I have like birdseed out all the time, but I feel like crows like shiny things, right? I feel like I have to bring him like shiny thing.
What about a penny?
I do have some of those.
That's all I'm saying. I for some reason I used to. Okay, this is gonna be super dumb, but I used to be super obsessed with like cleaning up coins. Like that was one of my things I did when
That's
I
not
was.
dumb. I can get into that.
Oh my god, it's so cathartic. Like
It's seeing something dirty then become clean. I love cleaning.
especially when your apartment's clean and you have no other excuse to do anything. Like that's one of those things I fell into because I collect change. Um, yeah, I know. Fascinating. Just utterly fascinating. Um, okay, so one thing I wanted to bring up while I have you is I see this video you have called How I Ended My Last Slump.
Mm.
And so it it seems like you're real comfortable talking about like talking about your shit. So what why do you think there's a stigma around talking about this kind of stuff, and Like, what makes you comfortable sharing this with your audience?
Hmm. I think it's embarrassing to some
Really?
kind of level to like admit that you're not, you know, super strong or something like that. But I don't know why I'm comfortable talking about it. It's
So,
kind of weird.
I mean, do you think it's more embarrassing for one gender versus another?
Maybe.
Maybe.
I don't think it should be, but I think people might feel that it is.
Yeah, I feel
And
that.
I know in when I did psychology in uni, they do teach us that men have a harder time like opening up, and men are less likely to come and talk about their problems with a professional. So I think there is like more of a stigma that it's harder for men to talk about mental illness.
So, I guess, well, I mean, I guess you kind of did answer that. Hmm. I don't know. I feel like a shitty interviewer right now because, like, all these things I want to ask, but then it comes time to, like, use words. Wow. Okay, bet. So, what are these videos, that you've been making lately that are kind of lacking context?
The tour ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, I when I filmed them, I didn't do any like sitting down talking to camera, so there just was no context. And I had this whole plan where I was gonna get the band together after and we're all gonna sit down and like keeping up with the Kardashians.
Oh,
It's
God.
totally fine if you don't, but like how they film their show in that format.
Yeah.
Like the typical reality show where there's the clip of whatever happened and then it cuts to the scene of everybody sitting down talking about it. I was
Yeah.
gonna do that. And then I just decided, you know what, I can't wait for everyone's schedules to align, so I'm just going to edit it and put it out and see if anyone actually likes it. And I don't think it went down too bad. I really am kicking myself that I didn't film more like sitting down talking at the time. So next tour, I'm going to make it more like it'll make more sense the next time.
I can't believe you watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
I love them. Are you kidding? I love reality TV. It's one of my favorite things in the world. It's so like you don't have to think when you watch it. It doesn't hurt at all. It's just there. It's very entertaining. It's like I don't know.
Have you
I love it.
seen what's it called? So I don't know if y'all have TLC in Canada, but 90 Day Fiance.
No, oh my God, I wish we don't have TV like cuz we just use the internet now. But I think I might get into that one. See, I would never watch that before I got engaged because I would like just stay away from anything about weddings because I was so like desperately jealous of
Yeah.
anyone that was getting married. So like now I can actually go and watch all of that trash. Say yes to the dress. Oh my God.
Oh my Jesus Christ. So
Oh, I love
like
that one where they have the four women and they have to go to each other's weddings and like judge it and they just sit there being absolute bitches to each other. That's my favorite one. I like that one.
I feel like you're already Oh geez, hold on. Yes, ma'am. Boom. Nailed it. God damn, I'm such an innovator. Okay. So, yeah, I'm a cat dad and they really fucked this whole podcast thing up. Um okay, so first of all, um you and every woman I know for some reason is obsessed with the same couple shows. It's insane. Like as a guy looking at this from the outside, it's crazy how you all gravitate towards the shitting on someone's wedding. Like without fail, that shit always comes
Oh,
up.
it's so funny.
Oh,
They're so rude. I love it. I love seeing people be rude.
yes, and especially when it's like over trivial shit like, "Oh my god,
Yeah.
so I got my chicken back and it was like not as hot as I wanted." I'm giving her a
I was
3 for
straight up gonna go for the
experience.
chicken too. It's like this chicken is not seasoned. Like,
Like we're all
oh, they're
Gordon
so
Ramsay.
funny.
And okay, you've seen like 90 Day Fiance. Did I ask you about that?
I haven't seen it, but I really want to.
Oh
I would
my
totally watch that.
god. Dude, I feel like white trash watching that show for how
I
like
am white trash.
is that even a thing in Canada?
Well, I'm Australian. I'm Bogan. Like all of
Oh,
my. Oh yeah, shh, don't tell anyone. No, I'm kidding. Yeah, my family's all like Bogan. Half of them pretend they're not though, so it's kind of funny.
what is bogan?
Oh, like redneck, Australian
Oh.
redneck. Yeah.
Oh. What kind of, just kind of curious, what kind of slang do y'all have?
Like Australian slang?
Yeah, like I've heard it's been a slice. Um,
Is that one? I don't know. It's been so long since I've been back there. So I
yeah.
don't know if it's all the same. Australians like to shorten words a lot and like they like to put Azza as like a nickname. So like if your name's Barry, your nickname is now Bazza. Or like if your name's
What?
Sharon, it's Shazza.
Shazza.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
stupid.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, goddamn, I feel like we've covered a lot. Um, Drugs, anxiety, music, trashy TV, even though I could probably talk longer about that than is normal for a man of my age.
I
Um,
think everybody's embarrassed about the fact that they enjoy watching it, and I think that's silly. We should not be embarrassed about it. It's so entertaining.
I mean, do you ever watch these videos? Okay, because like I've caught myself doing this, so like my family watches that shit, and I don't like. I'm like y'all, like they have cable, and I attach the cable to my Plex server so I can like DVR what I want. But other than that, I don't watch TV. So like when I come by and I see them watching all this stuff, I get sucked into it so
Mhm.
fucking hard, and I'm always sitting there watching it like, nah, man, that's not gonna happen to me. My wedding's gonna be the shit, and like no one's gonna be able to complain. Chicken's the problem. Bet I'll make sure we got some Lowrys up in this piece before I get married. Like, I don't know. Do you ever like look at this stuff and find yourself trying to be like, okay, I can get around this that way, or I can do this, and it won't be as bad?
I think so, like kind of using other people's bad examples to like guide your own choices. Oh,
Yes.
I do that a lot. I do that with everything though. Like I try to do that with almost everything that I encounter.
So like, who are your bad example idols that you try to learn from?
Oh God, I don't know. I don't know if that's nice.
Oh, okay. I mean, is there anyone like not in your life?
Oh
Or
yeah, like all of them, but like I don't know. I don't know
like,
if it's nice
okay,
to say.
okay. Like, so for me, do you know who? I think her name's like Snooky. So like,
Snooki. Oh my God, I love Snooki.
okay, so like her and Tila Tequila are like my
Oh,
avoid.
Tila Tequila.
Yes, they're who I look at, and they're my tragic figures that I pay attention to avoid.
Oh, I love Tila. I would be happy if I had her life, I think, because I think she's kind of loopy, so I don't think she understands anything.
Okay,
I
to
think
use a word I learned from you, she's dizzy as fuck, right?
oh, it's just a dizzy bitch. It's like my favorite
Yes.
insult.
I mean, I don't. Okay, let me get this straight. So, like, I'm not trying to, like, insult her or be hateful. It's more like, what is your life? Get it
Yeah,
together type
like
deal.
yeah, that's how I use dizzy bitch.
Oh, okay. Then let's flip this shit on its head, right? Who are your, like, role models?
They change quite frequently. At the moment, I'm really into Jordan Peterson, which most people probably don't like. But I think he's very, really, really smart, and he's a really good role model. And then also, I don't know if you remember the MySpace days, but
Yes.
yeah, Audrey Kitching was this amazing scene queen with pink hair. And she's still today like one of my role models. She turned into this like spiritual kind of person. And I'm not like a crunchy spiritual person, but I really do enjoy her stuff. I think she's really inspirational.
Did you ever
And
get
I guess
into.
Jenna Marbles.
Oh, fuck me. I catch myself saying pipe the fuck down, like, out of nowhere. Did you ever get into, like, Jeffree Star?
Oh, I love Jeffree Star.
Oh my god. I don't know what it is about him, but like, I mean, what do you even call him? He's a him, right?
Yeah, I think he's down with him.
Okay. So like, I don't know what it is about him because if I saw anybody else who had his personality, I would swerve so hard left. But I saw the Shane Dawson like whatever with him, and I was like, okay, this dude's a fucking badass. Like,
Hmm. I love his personality. I think he totally deserves to act the way he does because I watched him blow up on MySpace when I was like an itty bitty teenager. I think that was like when I was like 14, 15. He was just kind of getting started on that website with like Audrey Kitching at the time and a bunch of others that kind of disappeared into nothingness.
And yet this motherfucker made. I remember. So I think it was a Warp Tour. Do you know what that is?
Yeah.
Okay, bet. So, there's this, I swear to God, I could be just like seeing something I've seen from another video and thinking it's my life, but I swear to God, I went to like a Warp Tour when I was a kid, like early 2000s, like when he had just launched his makeup. Dude, the kerfuffle around him was insane.
Yeah.
Like,
He's fascinating.
I wonder what it would be like to have a conversation with him. Well, okay,
Hmm.
Shane Dawson already got that, but if we could experience it.
I would be so intimidated. I don't think I would be able to speak to Jeffree Star. I'm just like, Jeffree Star taught me how to do makeup. Because like I have a very like a masculine angular face. So regular makeup tutorials, they don't work for me. I have to use drag tutorials sometimes. Like when I first started learning makeup,
Wow.
I had to go to the drag tutorials because of all of my angles. But now I figured it all out.
I mean,
So
that
yeah.
means you would at least don't have to worry about like contouring and shit, right?
I have never contoured in my life. I hate contour.
Does that ever make you feel a way that you're like, damn, I gotta use drag tutorials?
It did at first, and now I just find it hilarious. I think it's funny.
Ooh, okay. I got one for you. I got a doozy of a question for you.
Okay.
How do you feel about drag children?
Oh God. Oh.
Ooh, yeah.
I don't know. The same way I feel about child beauty pageants. Kind of like, why?
That.
I don't know. I don't know why it has to happen.
I love your reaction to this.
Because
Like,
it's so different. It's different than like because when you're a kid, like you'll fucking dress up and stuff. You'll play dress up. That's different than actually having like a drag competition.
yeah. Which, I mean, these kids, I mean, I've seen some shit where I'm like, dude, that's like a 12-year-old kid and he's basically like ass up doggy style. What's
That's
going
weird,
on here?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, on that horribly heavy note, my guest again today was Arienette Wolf. You can find her on Twitter, all one word, Arienette Wolf. She has a YouTube channel of the same name where, I mean, it looks like you do everything from like makeup to clothing hauls to music. I mean, it really
I
looks like
kind of
there's
say
something.
it's I say it's like lifestyle content with a lot of keyboard and piano and like creepy cute kind of fashion and style.
Boom. Well, there you go. And you know what? Thank you for coming on. I appreciate you. I'm definitely going to be using these thumbnails. I appreciate that even more. And yeah, another bean in the basket. Nailed it.
Thanks. Thanks for having me.
Yeah.